Lots to get caught up on today's Locked On Bama. We got Mohamed Wague. We've got Zabien Brown committing on Sunday. Cam Coleman making recruiting waves throughout the high school recruiting world. So we got a ton to talk about, plus Jimmy Stein's countdown. Let's go ahead and get at it.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. Jimmy, I'm still wearing my airbrushed Locked On Bama hat that my wife gave to me because she couldn't think of anything else to put on it. And we got family airbrushed hats, which ought to tell you something about our family. But regardless, there has been a lot of news coming through the airwaves. I don't know, whatever is coming through. But let's go ahead and I want to let you talk a little bit about Mohamed Wague, the commitment from West Virginia that transfers over to Tuscaloosa, part of the basketball team. Big guy, rim protector, 4 points, 3 rebounds a game, only weirdly averages a half a block a game. I thought that was kind of bizarre. But the staff seems to be very high on him. And as I described to another show yesterday, look, you wouldn't need him to make the martini, but you do like a martini with an olive in it. And he's sort of the olive. I think he's just a nice piece to this team. He wouldn't be necessary, but I think that it certainly helps a little bit, sort of the cherry on top analogy.
Yeah, obviously, I think he's an important bench piece. What people have to remember is, this guy was 9th in minutes at West Virginia last year. And West Virginia was a good team. They've always been a good team under Bob Huggins. They were in an extremely tough conference and a good team. He was 9th in minutes. He averaged just 10 minutes per game last year at West Virginia. Now he's coming to even a more talented program with more good players. So I don't know that he's going to be above 9th in minutes at Alabama, even being the 12th guy on the team. But he is like Bediako, and we lost Bediako. We sort of said Grant Nelson's the Bediako replacement, but really Grant Nelson is only similar to Bediako in that he's tall. His game is nothing like Charles Bediako's. Now, Mohamed Wague, his game is like Bediako's. He's very similar in terms of the size, in terms of what he brings to you as a rim protector. He's really good in terms of offensive rebounds and getting put back dunks. That's sort of his thing, right? Garbage rebounds, put back dunks. We don't really have that on the roster other than maybe Nick Pringle. But I see myself, and I could be wrong, I hope I'm wrong, I see Wague as a backup to Nick Pringle. I think Pringle's going to kind of be the starter at that spot and get the most minutes. But hey, the big guy that plays that position isn't going to play 35 minutes a game. You get winded. So Wague is going to be sort of, I think, a quality defensive substitute for Nick Pringle. Hey, you're muted, Locked On Bama.
Even with the hat, I'm muted.
Even with the hat, yeah.
But yeah, I think he is going to be a nice piece and be a little bit more like Charles Bediako. You're absolutely right. I think he's stronger than Bediako, but I obviously don't think he's as good of a rim protector as Bediako was. Angry Chuck was a really good rim protector. Now, offensively, he may be a little better. One more basketball note. I watched some of Brandon Miller for the Hornets last night. He looks like he's going to have some growing pains. I hate to say it. I thought he would come in and be awesome to start out with. He only had 6 points last night. And he had 7 assists, but at times he looked like he was trying to fit in rather than make people fit in around him. And I get that, but he's an older guy. People forget, Brandon Miller's an older guy. And so I was hoping that he would come in and make a bigger splash. He had his first game, he had a very poor first 3 quarters of the game, ended up with 18 points, but still had a lot of turnovers. He had a lot of turnovers yesterday. He's going to have some growing pains. And this Charlotte team is not going to be awesome. Now they're not playing with their starters right now in the summer league or anything like that. But it was a tough watch yesterday for a guy like me who absolutely loves Brandon Miller. All right, Jimmy, let's talk a little bit about Cam Coleman just for a second. And the reason I want to talk about him is I am so intrigued by the fact that Texas A&M was able to come in and steal this guy away, not necessarily from Alabama, I mean, from the state of Alabama, but more so from Auburn. Now, a couple of things. A lot of the Auburn sites and Auburn moderators are talking about how they feel like this was, totally an NIL deal, and that probably has some truth to it. Texas A&M has more money than Alabama and Auburn combined, I'm sure. But I also would say, Texas A&M got Evan Stewart, who was either number 1 or number 2 receiver last year. They had who was the other one? Mohamed, the other receiver. Yeah, Mohamed. A very good player. They have had some other players that have gone on to play in the NFL. Now, this was back in the Kevin Sumlin days for some of them, but regardless, they have Texas A&M has a much richer history with receivers than does Auburn. We all thought Cam Coleman was going to end up at Auburn because Central Phoenix City, Pat Nix is the coach there. But frankly, Auburn has not had a lot of luck at Central Phoenix City through the years. And they certainly hadn't had a lot of luck with wide receivers. So I don't think it's this crazy that he's going to A&M. I think it's a little weird, because I didn't even factor in Texas A&M to his recruitment at all. But if he's going to go somewhere, I would have thought it'd be Clemson or LSU or something like that. I certainly didn't think A&M, because they come in to this state. College Station is a long way from Phoenix City, a long way.
Right.
So, right. But regardless, I mean, they probably did, have a nice big NIL package. And for anybody complaining about it, I would quit doing that, because that's the new normal.
Yeah. I just think from an interesting point of view in the Alabama-Auburn rivalry, I think it's sort of like a little bit of karma here. I'm sure a lot of Auburn fans had a lot of fun with Alabama 2 cycles ago when Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher went at it and Coach Saban complained to some extent. Not necessarily. I mean, he obviously mentioned Texas A&M, but in his rants about the new normal, he mentioned Texas A&M by name. And I'm sure a lot of Auburn fans had a lot of fun with that about, Nick Saban, boy, he sure complains when he gets outbid by A&M. And now Auburn's had a little taste of that in terms of what Alabama went through quite a bit in the class of 2021. So that's sort of funny. And, and also the fact that, I thought Cam Coleman would go to Auburn and he was going to be their in-state 5-star. They obviously thought that was the case, that they would get him, and then they don't. So it's kind of perceived as a bigger loss for Auburn than it is for Alabama. And A&M, you make a great point. As much as you can say, well, A&M is not a wide receiver haven, I think this upcoming fall, Evan Stewart, Moose Muhammad, and Anaya Smith comprise the absolute best wide receiver core in the SEC. It's either the best or second best, along with LSU. So I think it's a great group, and A&M is recruiting well at that position. And Cam Coleman, one other small thing, I doubt it's a huge factor, but Cam Coleman does have family that lives in College Station, and I've heard some people in the recruiting industry say, maybe we should have seen this coming. He said all along he's got family in College Station, and I think that's a factor. But we all know that NIL is a big thing, and I'm not going to go on a rant again. I sort of did on my on the Bama Online message board, but I still think too many fans don't get NIL, and they don't think NIL, and NIL explains anything that's off to you in recruiting, anything that doesn't make sense to you. Over 90% of the time, it's explained by NIL, and I think there's a lot of fans that don't. It hasn't sunk in. They don't understand that. They don't accept the fact that it has replaced geography as the number one factor in recruiting. I think up until NIL, the number one factor in recruiting is geography. Most kids stay close to home in recruiting. Most kids, not all, most. Now, geography out the window, NIL in the window. It's easily the number one factor when it comes to Power 5 recruiting and blue chips.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. I've talked to some of my friends who were pretty upset about it, Auburn fans, and they're like, I just feel like the game has changed. And I'm like, the game really hadn't changed that much, but this this part has changed. I mean, this is all the same stuff everybody was kind of doing anyway, sort of, kind of. I mean, it's a different level, but all these factors were there to begin with, and now it's just so much more out in the open. Maybe kids who felt like they couldn't go that far or for whatever reason, and it may be a little suspicious. Now it's just completely legal, so we've all got to deal with it. And if you don't deal with it, if you want to get on a moral high horse about it, your team's going to suck. I'm going to tell you right now.
Well, and it's going to be a crutch for some fans, and I don't like how that's used either, because this is what's going to happen, Luke, and this is just all. It's not that it's incorrect to say, it's just going to make the sport more of a mess. But when Auburn fans scream NIL because they lose Cam Coleman to Texas A&M, what are Alabama fans going to yell if Auburn lands someone like Perry Thompson or DeMarcus Riddick, in-state guys that Alabama really prioritizes and wants? And if they sign with Auburn, Alabama fans are going to scream, oh, well, look at the money Auburn's spending, while Auburn's going, look at the money A&M is spending. Hey, folks, everyone's got NIL money. They all do. If you're a Power 5 football team playing big-time college football and you're a team that's got a shot to be ranked in the top 25, your program's got plenty of money, and they spend it on through collectives on recruiting.
Jimmy, I need to tell everybody about FanDuel now. They've been a wonderful sponsor for what seems like decades now, but we hadn't been around that long. So take your first swing at betting on Major League Baseball on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting everything from the money line to the over-under to will the Braves literally ever lose again. I hate the Braves, and they keep winning. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you can get paid instantly. That's a key. There's no better place to bet on Major League Baseball than FanDuel, which is America's #1 sports book. So sign up today at FanDuel.com/lockedon to get that $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel is an official partner of Major League Baseball. On tomorrow's pod, we will continue Jimmy Stein's countdown unless we get some other surprise commitments or something. But for the most part, we're going to be all countdowny. Speaking of a guy that will be on the countdown in the future, we believe, and that's Zabien Brown from Mater Dei High School in California. Probably one of the top 50 players in the country, I would say. A defensive back from Mater Dei in California. Fantastic player. Visited not too terribly long ago, maybe like 2 weeks ago. Was that right? Zabien Brown visited?
Yeah, him and Nathaniel Frazier, his teammate at Mater Dei, visited him the same weekend. I think it was 2 Saturdays ago, and Alabama made up some considerable ground there. I think Alabama may have led going in, but certainly hit an exclamation point there. In terms of where he's ranked, Luke, Zabien Brown is the number 7 cornerback in the nation on the On3 industry ranking. I personally, I don't do a ranking, but if I did, I would have Zabien higher. I said that before. I knew he was likely headed to Alabama. I think he's just fantastic. I think this is the cornerback you would sort of, I would call like the prototype. Like, this is what you're looking for. I think the fact that he plays at Mater Dei not only is interesting because, hey, we're getting another Mater Dei kid, and the last one was Bryce Young, and that worked out pretty good. But you're not only getting another Mater Dei kid, you're getting, the number 1 defensive back maybe in California, or certainly up there. We're signing a high value target from the Los Angeles area. I mean, and of course we have a quarterback that's from the San Diego area. So Alabama doing really well on the other side of the continent. Now he hasn't picked Alabama just yet. We believe at BOL he is likely, we're going to use the word likely. He is likely to commit to Alabama over Southern Cal on Friday. And when I say over Southern Cal, Zabien Brown was recruited by just about everybody. He recently eliminated Ohio State and Oregon. They were also in his top 4, top 5. He eliminated them. He's down to his hometown Trojans in Alabama. We believe he favors Alabama and that he's going to follow the Bryce Young path from Mater Dei, which arguably is the number 1 high school program in the United States, to Alabama, arguably the number 1 college program in the United States.
Jimmy, is he committing? Is he committing on the July 7th or July 9th? I thought I saw 9th.
As of yesterday, the last time I got updated on this, it was the 9th, which is
okay.
Sunday.
My old eyes probably confused 9 with a 7. So, okay.
I believe it's July 9th. Sunday, and we'll probably pop on with a live show, or maybe not record Sunday until after his announcement. But man, that'll be a big deal. I know he's ranked high, like again, a top 100 player nationally, the number 7 cornerback in the U.S. I personally believe he's better than that, and I've said that when I thought he may be going somewhere else. I think I'm not sure. The only cornerback I would take over him is Ellis Robinson, the IMG kid that's committed to Georgia. I would probably take Ellis Robinson over Zabien, but that would be it. And also Jalen Mbakwe, who's listed as an athlete by the services. We all know he's going to play cornerback at Alabama. But wow, I would put the duo of Mbakwe and Zabien Brown up against any duo Alabama has signed over the years at the cornerback spot.
I think that is a heck of a duo. And look, I'm looking at On3 right now, and the California rankings. Y'all have Zabien Brown as number 5 player from California. The recruiting predicting machine has him 95% to Alabama, 3% to Southern Cal, and I guess 2% undecided with a 2% margin of error, I guess. But it's Julian Sayin is number 1 player in California, committed to Alabama. The next 4 guys are all from Mater Dei High School. Brandon Baker, Aiden Breland, Nathaniel Frazier, and then Zabien Brown. And I think Alabama still has a shot at Nathaniel Frazier too. So that would be very interesting. And Oregon is actually leading for those other 3 guys. So they're putting together another very nice class with Dan Lanning over there.
I mean,
all right,
California is like Texas and Florida, right? I mean, in terms of producing the numbers of players. Take IMG out of the equation because that's a specialty situation, right? But could you imagine a normal high school in Florida having 4 of the top 5 prospects in the state of Florida at one high school? Does that ever happen?
Unless it were IMG, but IMG doesn't really count because they only play 10 games a year and they don't even go to the playoffs.
Yeah, they don't count. But IMG is such a unique situation. They don't even let them play normal Florida high school football. They're just sort of a roving Harlem Globetrotters type situation. That's the best comparison to IMG. But Mater Dei is just a really large private high school in Pasadena. I think it's in Pasadena, or some little town near Pasadena. But man, to have 4 of the top 5 prospects in the state of California on one team, man, I'm surprised they haven't applied to get in surprised they haven't applied to get into the Pac-12.
They might. That's what maybe San Diego State's waiting on. They're like, we're going to try Mater Dei first, and then if they don't get in, we'll have to get San Diego.
That's why they sent that letter that's why they sent that famous letter to the Mountain West saying they want it out, and then they changed their minds because they heard Mater Dei might be taking their spot.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to get back into your roster countdown with Jihaad Campbell, and we're back. So let's talk about Jihaad Campbell, as I get a frog in my throat thinking about him. Jihaad Campbell, this is bad in the sense that that's the best action shot I was able to find of him online, getting a lecture from Nick Saban, along with Kendrick Law.
He won't be lectured by Nick often in the future.
Yeah, I'll be able to find some more highlights of him next year. I'm sure you've got him pretty high in this countdown for a guy that hadn't done a ton to this moment. But I know you're super high on him. He's very lean, very fast, got sort of a Dallas Turner-y vibe about him, if you ask me.
Yeah, I like that comp. They're playing a little bit different positions, but I do like the comp to Dallas Turner, another highly regarded 5-star guy from Florida. Jihaad's from Florida, just like Dallas. Jihaad is one of, I think, the very best players on the team. We haven't seen a lot of yet. He's a true sophomore, so he didn't play a lot as a freshman. But man, in the spring, he was extremely active. He looks like $1 million. I've seen him on campus not too long ago. He's one of those guys that's like, even out of his uniform, you're like, wow, he's a star. He's long. He's this great combination of being long, but he's also just ripped to shreds. And he can run. He is very versatile at linebacker. He's playing inside for Alabama and is a contender to start alongside Deontay Lawson with that starting group inside. But he came to Alabama with a lot of outside linebacker skills. He was a big-time pass rusher in high school. Again, Alabama sort of converted him to the inside to take advantage of his highly versatile skill set. But keep in mind that he's a good pass rusher on third down too. I wouldn't be surprised, Luke, if he stuck around Alabama long enough. This would be a guy who's so good that he might play inside on the rundowns and then move to outside linebacker on third down. I mean, that's how good he is. We've had players do that in the past, and the players that have done that have been first-round picks like Deontay Hightower and Rashaan Evans. I mean, they did that at Alabama and were first-round picks. Jihad Campbell, I think, has that exact level of upside. He can be Hightower. He can be Rashaan Evans. That's how good he is. He's just in a real battle for a starting spot. It's a deep position for Alabama, even though they don't have a lot of guys with experience. But like I've been saying recently, you have 4, Deontay Lawson, Jihaad Campbell, Trez Marshall, and Justin Jefferson. 4 guys for 2 spots. It's really almost anybody's guess as to which 2 out of that 4 ends up starters.
And before we leave, Jimmy, is there anything new you can report on the Perry Thompson situation? And look, here's what's interesting to me. Okay, now that they have missed on Cam Coleman, do you feel like Auburn will double down on Perry Thompson? I think they were really going for both of them regardless, so I don't think it's going to change much there. But anything new you can add into that situation, or DeMarcus Riddick for that matter?
Right. I would think they were trying to find both Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson. That would have been the Grand Slam home run for them. Now with Cam Coleman seemingly off the board, they can even double up efforts on Perry Thompson trying to sign a highly regarded receiver. Look, Hugh Freeze needs a win over Alabama on the recruiting trail. To beat Alabama on the recruiting trail, it takes that one big win to at least, that's the way they view it, kind of a dominoes type situation where getting that first one is the hardest one. They're trying to make it Perry Thompson or DeMarcus Riddick, both kids. We think there's a chance Perry Thompson might say something in July about ending his recruitment one way or the other. At BOL right now, our position is that both Perry Thompson and DeMarcus Riddick will sign with Alabama, and DeMarcus will commit to Alabama at the end of July. But this one is one this is really close. This could go either way. This is sort of, it's not fun because it's the new normal and it's not the old days. But those of us who grew up in the 80s and the 90s, we remember these intense in-state battles over in-state stars between Alabama and Auburn. I mean, they would go at it. And this is sort of a throwback to that with Perry Thompson, wide receiver Foley, DeMarcus Riddick, the linebacker from Chilton County. They are both the subject of an intense in-state battle that could go either way. At BOL, we believe it's Alabama for both, but those will be interesting to watch. Both teams pulling out all the stops, frankly. I mean, in terms of they're both high priority. Neither one can claim they didn't want them. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Both Alabama and Auburn.
Yeah, I hate that argument. But, some people go, well, we didn't need him anyway. No, you need him. Both of them, you want him. So just deal with it. All right, that's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow. Who knows if we'll just be all countdown or some commitment stuff, because it's been sort of a crazy week. But we will be back then. Until then, roll tide.
Roll tide.